So this past week, I did not do pivot points, but I did do them on January 19th. Um, and I actually deleted the ones I did from January 18th and realized I kind of wanted to go over them. Anyways, to start off, I have Apple 166 as a pivot point, and that I put that in on the like the 18th or whatever. So if you look, on the 19th, we broke that 166. Okay, we tried to break that 166 level and it held up a support. But if you look here, once we went back over the 166 and back under, we tanked from 166 all the way down to 154. Right, so we tanked over $10 per share, which is about like 5% or so in 2 days, right? So Apple 166 was the pivot point there. Amazon, the pivot point was 3080, which we broke on the 20th, and as you can see here, right after we broke 3080, we dropped all the way to 2700, dropping wow. Did we really drop that many points? 300 over 300 points. Yeah, so Amazon dropped over 300 points once it broke 3080. And that was the pivot point that I had established on the like 18th. So here. And so as you can see, that pivot point was extremely important. And I bet Apple and Amazon both broke their pivot points on the same exact day. Anyways, next we have Facebook 315, right? So 315 was the pivot point, and we held above it for these 3 days. But the second we broke the 315 level, we headed down to 289, a 25-point drop, almost 10%, right? So these pivot points are extremely important. As you can see with Apple, Amazon, and Facebook, the second they broke their pivot point, they just headed straight down and they did not go over it again, and it just, tanked. For Lucid, I had 3950, which I don't have charted here. Let's see. So I put that level in like on this day here, and as you can see, it held above it basically for these 3 days. And then once it did break below it, it didn't collapse immediately, but it started to collapse, and within about a week, it was down 39 to 25 almost. So you can see that 3950 level was extremely pivotal for this stock. They don't always work like magic where the stock just tanks right when it breaks or bounces right at that level, but sometimes it does. Here you got the 302 level, which it didn't break these few days, but it did break this day. It broke 302, or it closed right at it. But if you had went short either here or you went short this day, you could have caught a move from 300 to 275. So that 302 level was very important for Microsoft. NVIDIA, we have 253 as the pivot point. And as you can see, when we broke that 253 level, we broke it for the first time here, and then we broke it again the next day. And you could have easily caught a move from 250 to 209. So that's like a 40, 50 point move right there. Snow level was 273. I got a lot of levels here, but when we did break 273, as you can see here, we headed down to a low of 244. And when we made our way back up to 273, we didn't break it all 3 of these days. So Tesla, I had 1,000 as the level. And as you can see, when we broke 1,000, we headed straight down to 844. Huge drop, like 15%. And then I had SPY 453 and QQQ 370. So this is SPY. Once we broke a 453 here, you can see we tanked lower to 420. And QQQ, I had 370. Right, so once we broke 370 here, we came back above it once, but then we tanked down to 334. So yeah, these pivot points are extremely important. And when you break under them, sometimes you're just going to completely tank. And they work for the upside as well. I only had pivot points for the downside because I was very bearish. And the pivot points were more to the downside than the upside because the pivot points on the downside were a lot closer to the current stock price than the pivot points to the upside, because sometimes these incredibly important points are very far from the current price. But anyways, the pivot points are extremely important when you're trading, and they can be very helpful in while you're trading to find the extremely important levels using weekly, daily charts and the moving averages on all the different time frames.